Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with the Holistic Killer, aka Sonia B. So I'm back with 5 different prophetic messages. So I just want to basically say, for those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome, and for those of you who returning back, I want to say welcome back. Keep in mind that these energies could be happening right now. It could be happening a few days from now, and if the message does not resonate with you and you were being divinely guided to my channel, it could be that the situation could be pertaining to somebody else who may be within your immediate environment. It could be your boss, it could be a co-worker, it could be associate, a friend, a cousin, an aunt, a grandmother, a mother, a father. So nobody's off limits in this case, okay? Because we're all evolving, even our parents in the situation. So these energies could be happening right now for some, and it could be happening a couple of weeks for others, is what I'm hearing. It can even go a month out or either 2 months out, so keep that in mind as well too. So with that being said, let me just basically explain to you. So for those people who are new to my channel, in case you don't know, I'm an intuitive, clairvoyant, Yoga empath who receives divine prophetic dream messages. Not only do I receive prophetic dream messages, I also receive intuitive messages as well too. I also receive intuitive messages through music as well too. And I am here to help translate messages from the spiritual world over into this 3D world to help assist souls on this spiritual journey during this time. And the reason that being is because it's like whatever God is letting me know that is to come, that's what prophetic messages are, things to come. So he lets me know what energy is to come. So basically I share that information with you. So if those messages are resonating with you, and even if the message is not necessarily resonating with you at the time, but you feel divinely guided to watch it, that must mean that maybe I'm hearing spirit say that it could relate to you within that month or two from now as well too. But meanwhile, just always store it in the back of a file cabinet. Again, sometimes we could be divinely guided to watch certain situations so that we can understand somebody else's situation of what somebody else may be experiencing or what they may be going through. So again, as I present the information, it's up to you guys what you choose to do with it. Once you're being presented with it, I'm not here to do the work for you. I'm just basically here to share the information, so that way when you at that crossroad, you know whether to go left or you know whether to go right, because you already know what's at play here. So with that being said, let's get into the message, right? And I just want to say I'm so humble and I'm so grateful for all those people who have subscribed to my, I'm not going to say YouTube, well, the YouTube channel as well as the Instagram channel. So I'm sorry, this is just one video. I'm just lumping it in one. So thank you all so much. I'm greatly humbled, and I thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. So the first message that I received was, let me say this. God had showed me, first of all, I had a dream the other night, and I told you guys I needed to get confirmation. So I got confirmation on that, but let me go ahead and start here. So with that dream from the other night, it was like we were in a car, right? It was myself, it was my daughter, and it was my youngest son. So biologically, I have 3 kids, okay? So I have an older son, and then I have a daughter who's in the middle, and then I have a younger son. So what happened was we was in a car, and I felt like we was going somewhere, but I wasn't in the driver's seat. I was sitting in the back left side behind the driver, and I had a baby on my lap, and my youngest son was sitting up in the right front seat of the car, passenger seat to the driver. And then my daughter was sitting to the right of me. So I had some chapstick. For some particular reason, I was sitting there looking at the baby. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this baby is so beautiful. She's so pretty, and she's just so beautiful. And I was just looking at her and just like, oh, she's just so pretty. So anyway, she had on this onesie, right? But the t-shirt said something, and I couldn't quite catch it in the dream. But it said something on the t-shirt. So it was words. Oh, thank you, Spirit. Okay, Spirit just bring it to my attention, words. Okay, but I also noticed something else that was happening too. So as I saw, okay, bear with me. I get a little excited. So as I was sitting there in odds with watching the baby and thinking how beautiful she was, right? Basically what happened was the baby, as I said that out loud, the baby woke up because the baby was sleeping. The baby woke up and repeated everything I said. And I need to remind you, this baby was only like about 2 months old, right? 2 months old to a year and a half. I mean, not a year. 2 months old to a month and a half old is the age of this child. But she woke up and she started speaking, right? And now I'm just getting revelation of like, I got some revelation, but sometimes I don't get I don't get full revelation until sometimes I actually hit the button on this camera when things start to fit in. It's almost like Spirit's like, go, just go, and I'll give you the rest. So basically what is being said here is like the baby is a representation of like the ancestors. So people that has crossed over and they leave this earth, you know, they cross over to the other side, they get reincarnated back into, you know, into the earth plane. So that's how reincarnation works. So I say all that to say the baby was coming back in the form of an ancestor, and it was a message basically from the ancestors. And for those of you who are working on work projects, it's basically important to just make sure that you're being authentic, meaning like just making sure the information that you're basically presenting and putting out there is just basically, you know, it's what I'm hearing is your stuff, and basically making sure that it's not like, let's just say everything is being regurgitated, because let's be honest, you know, there's some information that doing training or whatever, you know, we've all been programmed to say certain things doing, you know, when we learn things. And, you know, sometimes it's basically Spirit just wants you to know that just make sure it's being authentic, you know, it's being your authentic self. So that's what the words, I just got revelation on. That's what the words was on a t-shirt, you know, but the baby woke up speaking as well too. And she recited everything I said. So that was another confirmation in regards to the words, like what you saying and somebody else saying it behind you in a sense. So in other words, just make sure that you're coming from a place of being authentic if you're working on work projects, in other words. So that is coming from your place of authenticity and not somebody else's. So the other thing was, it was like the baby's lips were just like a little chapped. And again, thank you, Spirit. It's almost like a third confirmation. So the baby's lips was just like a little chapped, in other words. So it's like I took some, like the eco little small things that you rub on your lips. I forgot what they called, the eco or something like that, whatever. So I had one of those, and I was trying to peel it back with my nail to get, you know, how you use it and put it on your lips, and then, you know, you have your lip residue on it. So because it was an infant, I was trying to get the stuff that was underneath the used part and rub it on the baby's lips. So again, that was another third confirmation of using something that's another confirmation, y'all. See how this is just how the Spirit works, right? It's just confirmation. So there's three different confirmations: the baby speaking back, the words on the baby's t-shirt, and not only that, but the chapped lips, and basically trying to use the stuff underneath the surface that was basically not used. So in other words, is like the ancestors are basically just saying, just make sure you're just coming from a place of being authentic, and you just being authentic with what you're sharing in regards to your projects. And for other people, this could be actually an actual baby that you have birthed, that you are actually sitting there and adoring. So I just wanted to let you guys know that as well too. But that was pretty much it for that dream, because I remember my daughter saying, oh, I wouldn't put that on the baby's lips, or I wouldn't use that. But I thought to myself, I'm using a part that has been unused. So that was pretty much it for that dream. So again, if you're somebody who's working on a work project, that is something, that is a message for those of us who are working on work projects. And this next message came in a sense, and I woke up out of my dream, and I just kept, actually, you know, as a matter of fact, it's almost like this kept being recited in my dream until I woke up. So I kept hearing God say, humble yourself, humble yourself, humble yourself. But he didn't say it like that. It was like, humble yourself so that I can exalt you. And then wait, hold on. Yeah, he said, humble yourself so that I could exalt you. And then I just kept hearing, and for those who don't humble themselves, I will humble you. So for those people who need to hear that message, I just want to say that I feel like, because God was really placing that in my spirit, you know, because I felt like I was dreaming not the whole night, but I felt like I had been, like I was swimming in that little saying for a minute before I woke up, because I felt like I was really swimming in it for a minute before I woke up. So I woke up and I wrote it down, and I was like, dang, I felt like I had been swimming in that for a minute, meaning that I kept just hearing it and hearing it and hearing it until I woke up. So it's almost like God was just trying to put it in my forefront so that I remember when I woke up of what, you know, to deliver the message. For those of you who need to humble, you know, yourselves in whatever way, shape, or form, you know, take it how it resonates. It ain't for me to tell you because, but right now God is serious about us being in our egos and trying to get us out of our egos. And when we continue to stay in our egos, it's almost like he brings us to a place of being humble. I know we all on different paths, and I know we all at different or at different stage of our ascension process for us evolving. But for those of you who that you've been convicted of just working on your ego, it's important for you to do so, because as I said, God said, for those who do not humble themselves, he will humble you. And for those of you who humble yourself, he will exalt you. Okay, so that was another message for another group. Okay, and then, thank you, Spirit. And then God showed me a kitchen sink, right? It was like a kitchen sink with like one of them stainless steel type sinks for some particular reason. And all I saw was he was just showing me like a kitchen sink with the water was just flowing down the drain. Thank you, Spirit. Okay. So I just want you to know that sometimes when I give these messages, sometimes there's a theme around these messages. And the humbling part is tied to this sink message. In other words, like we use the sink to do what? Wash our dishes and get rid of debris and stuff on our, food residues, that we've eaten off the plate with. So we use the sink to wash that stuff down the sink and get rid of it, to clean it. And then, of course, the hole was a representation of everything that you don't want going down to the hole of that sink. And then we do what? Turn on the garbage disposal and get rid of it, right? So that's basically God's just trying to tell us to get rid of anything that is no longer serving us. Like it has to go. It has to go. It has to go. It has to go. And this is actually tied into another scripture that God had given me a message, but I said I was going to wait until I may wait till Sunday to record it and then post it on Monday. But I see how this is tied to that. So this could be anything. It could be anything from a situation of, I'm hearing addictions, job, people, family, anything that God has spoken to you about, whether it be, I'm hearing moving as well too. So just take it how it resonates, because what's in your spirit. Because trust me, when your spirit or your soul is asking you to do something, you get a little antsy and you can't. It's almost like, okay, it's almost like no rest. Like they're trying to tell you, I need you to move. In other words. So again, that kitchen sink was a representation of releasing and getting rid of things that no longer serve our soul purpose, especially what you've been asked to release and get rid of. Just know and understand that on these different ascension levels, basically what's happened is when we move to different levels, God is requiring more from us to do, more things that we thought we couldn't do before. Like let's just say hypothetically down here, you may have been starting off with just the fact of just, oh, you know what? I think I'm ready to have a relationship with God. And then this next level, once you've graduated from that level, okay, God is going to take you to a new level. So just know and understand, you're not going to always sit here. We may start off as babes in Christ, as the scriptures say, but at some point we got to keep evolving to the point that we become mature in Christ. In other words, become adults, because like a baby, because there's a scripture that said that, what is it? When you basically feed in a person, when you can't feed an infant, basically what it's trying to say, like people who are new in Christ, you can't feed them meat because meat will allow them to choke. So like a baby, you have to feed them formula. But as they grow and become more evolved and learn more, it's almost like then you're ready for the meat, which is like the heavy stuff. So again, we are not all just, we can't just sit here. We have to keep moving, in other words. And God's going to make sure that we keep moving, because he's going to allow our situations to allow us to become uncomfortable until we do move. So this next dream, let me say this one too. And for those of you who are in relationships, okay, so for those of you who was in, because I had to get confirmation on this one too. This one came in on the 10th as well too. So it came in a form as if it was a girl that I went to school with. And I was like, Lord, okay, what do you mean by this? I said, I know who she is. But then God had to remind me. I was like, okay, but why are you specifically showing me her? And then I had to think about it. So for those of you who don't know, who are new to my channel, I talked about how I was liberating myself in regards to, allowing people, or not hiding my dyslexia, should I say. I experienced that, growing up or whatever. And There are times now that, with dyslexia, people with dyslexia, that doesn't mean that they're not intelligent or they're not smart. It's just that we learn differently. We learn from a creative point of view more so than, maybe sitting down and reading the text. We learn differently than other people. But not only that, it's almost like, it's almost like you can't just sit us down and think that you're going to teach us a certain way. That's not how it works. And not only that, but you need patience in order to be able to teach us. Because if we see that, I'm hearing Spirit say that people with dyslexia, and Spirit was given to, see, like right now, I'm getting really excited, right? Because I'm trying to help some people who don't know, because I think when people hear these type of labels that society has put on us, we think, oh, that they're not smart, or well, they're, they can't tell me anything, or they don't know what they're talking about, stuff like that. People with dyslexia, people with ADHD, people with ADD, people with autism. Those people, don't sleep on them, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. Don't sleep on them. That's all I'm going to say. Because if you take the time to get to know them, I'm telling you, all I'm going to say, I'm going to just humble myself. And I'm going to just say, one should basically educate themselves on just the labels that society has put on people. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, like I said before, I had basically was liberating myself and coming out and letting people know that I was, dyslexic or whatever. Because at first I used to be ashamed about that, at one point. And even to the point of my own spouse and kids didn't even know I was dyslexic, right? That's just how well I can laugh about it now, right? That's just how well I hid it, should I say. But for those of you who don't know, like where me and my spouse had separated, and I was trying to explain to him, but see, this was me trying to be authentic with him, but he wasn't listening to me, right? He was like, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. See, that's just the stigmatism that people put on it. Like, no, you can't tell me that. I was like, look, I'm telling you, I'm dyslexic or whatever. So again, that was me liberating and freeing myself, because that's a part of this journey, being truthful and authentic and not worrying about what nobody else thinks of you. People got their own opinion. It's none of my business or what you think. All that matters is that I'm comfortable in my own skin with just liberating myself in regards to freeing myself, with just being honest or whatever. And not saying that I was being dishonest anyway. It's just that sometimes when people listen to me and have a conversation, they would have never known that I was dyslexic or whatever. I know that sometimes I get a little stumbly on this camera because I'm not actually talking to a person, but I'm talking to a camera. But, I say all that to say, I didn't understand what God was trying to show me in regards to this person. But what he was trying to show me was there was a young lady who I went to school with, her and I was kind of friends. Not kind of, we were friends. I'm not going to say we were best friends because, we was just pretty much friends in school, should I say. But basically outside of school, we never really hung out. So I'm not discrediting her or whatever, but I'm just saying I never really actually had any true authentic friends. She was authentic. We ate lunch together, we hung out or walked from class to class or whatever. But, she was an associate. Let me say that. Thank you, Spirit. So with that being said, I couldn't understand why God was specifically showing me her. And then I thought about her situation. I want to say like when I was, oh, that camera will stop now. I want to say when I was in my, early, like somewhere around 22 maybe, out 22 or 23. I was looking for my own apartment. So it just so happened that her and I was kind of still somewhat in touch or whatever. And it just so happened Spirit was bringing me back to her place. Because I think one time I went over to her apartment and I picked her up. And she was living with her kid's father. And she had kids with this man. And they stayed in this apartment. So the point of the matter that I'm trying to make, God had showed me her. And I was like, okay, Lord, why are you showing me her? So God wanted me to know that, for those of you, whether, and I feel like this is a situation of maybe somebody who's kind of feeling like the different things that I just label, whether it be ADHD or ADD and autism or dyslexic, even like myself or whatever the case may be. It's almost like God was just showing me that some of you guys are going to realize that even when you take and walk away from this relationship that God is asking you to walk away from, you're going to see that you was way better off than when you were with this person. That's all I can say. So, and what I'm hearing is, don't think that you have to settle for less just because you have, any of these quote unquote disabilities or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna call it creativities. Just because you have any of these creativities abilities, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be able to function in the world without that. Excuse me. Excuse me, y'all. It does not mean that you're not going to be able to function, because I'm here to tell you that God wanted me to let you know that you're going to see that you're going to be way better off than what you were when you was actually with the person that you was with. Excuse me, y'all. So I don't know who needs to hear that message. And then this other message came through was, this is the one also too about humbling yourself as well too, because this morning I had a dream and it kind of jumped, and I feel like it's pertaining to probably, let me make sure I say it right, pertaining to 2 or 3 different groups, because it just kept switching and switching and switching. So I have to make sure I say it right. So in this dream, I got the feeling of, it came like as if myself and like, let me say, it came as if it was myself and, like, as an example, my sister was walking down the street, like behind maybe like this building, and we was just walking, right? And then all of a sudden we came up on 3 groups of people. So not 3 groups of people of 3, three women that were together. So they was walking and we were kind of like on this little sidewalk. And then next thing you know, it was like one of the, and then from that point, it switched really quick. So instead of just being like, let's say me and my sister as an example, it went from switching to like I felt like it was a family. Like, let's just say a mother, a father, and 2 kids, I believe. So what happened was, after we saw when it was myself and my sister, bear with me, y'all. When it was myself and my sister, as I'm giving this example, we were walking and we saw the people coming. So next thing you know, it switched really quick. So we were still walking, but the character switched. So that's just letting me know how it's just 3 different situations and scenarios that may find themselves happening. So it could be a situation where 2 people are together and this is happening, and then it switches to a family that this is happening to, and then it switched to a situation of where an individual is just by themselves that it's happening to. So you get what I'm saying? So a person by themselves, still the same situation, but just still the same situation, but just with key players. So the individual person being by themselves, and then a family of 4 in the same situation, and then 2 sisters, 2 sisters in the same situation. So anyway, so as walking on the sidewalk, basically what happened was, it was almost, I was getting the energy of the 3 people who were walking together that was females. I was getting the energy of like one of the ladies, she was coming from a place of being in her ego. See, this is why God kept saying about humbling yourself. I could tell that she was in her ego. And for those of you who do not know, when I say that I don't need to hear people say anything, I can understand what they're saying telepathically when this is happening in a dream, whether they say something or not, because I know it's like being intuitive in a dream. Like, I understand and I know what they're saying and thinking. So what happened was, I got the feeling of she was in her ego and she was like saying, I'm not moving out the way, in other words. And then what happened was, the 2 sisters, as soon as it kind of got to them, that was the first people that was walking up on this group. And then when I said it, nothing really happened then, but then it switched to the family of 4. So what happened was, it's going to be a situation to where it's like, it's going to be a family, a mother, father, and some kids. They're going to be probably finding themselves walking, and to the point that it's almost like somebody's going to feel like their kids are being threatened by this other person. Again, remember I said the other person is like in their ego, because kids are just playing. They're just walking, they minding their business, where adults are the one who pretty much know and understand what goes on. So kids are just being kids. They're just walking, not paying no mind. But, adults can be like in their ego and be like, you know what, these kids need to move out my way, or, take it how it resonates. But anyway, so basically what happened was, I saw in a dream like somebody took and, like shifted somebody to the side, not in a rude or disrespectful way, but like kind of catching them before they bumped into their kids, in other words, because there has been times that I've kind of, there has been times when somebody didn't see me coming, let's just say like in a grocery store, and I kind of let them know, I wouldn't do that now, but I'm just saying like back in the days that I would just kind of, catch them and just kind of like, oh, well, like coming behind you or whatever, but I would always let people know that, usually that I'm coming behind you or I'm here, because sometimes they're not paying attention and don't see because their back is towards me. So, but anyway, so I got the feeling of that same person. Now, this person was the same person who was dealing with somebody else when it was just one individual person. So this person was still with their three friends. So every situation, it was three of them together in those three different scenarios. So what happened in this last one was the same one who bumped into or was about to bump into the kids. This time she showed up in a totally different type of energy, but it was more aggressive in a sense. So what happened was, this last time around, she basically, she was going off. First of all, let me say she had on a halter top. It was black and she kept trying to pull it up like this. And then not only that, but it's just like she was just really coming from a place of just like, doing all the finger pointing and she was getting real aggressive with it. And I want to say, she said a couple of, she said I was saying she was pointing her fingers and she was just being rude and talking about she would knock me out. Talking about that she would knock me out. And that I would. Okay. So when she was saying all that stuff, just, doing all like this and all that other stuff, basically I was sitting there thinking to myself, right? And see, this is where the humble partness is coming in. So it was coming as if it was kind of happening to me in a sense, because sometimes I see these visions through from other people's perspective, or sometimes I never know what's gonna apply to me or what's applying to society. I just have to wait and see, just like y'all do, right? Because I'm not off limits as well either. But basically, this is why God is telling us to humble ourselves, because some of us may run into a situation of where somebody is actually being very rude and aggressively and just could be saying obscene things and just acting very rudely. But here's the kicker. The two people that was with this person, is almost like they were standing there. They didn't say nothing. So I really felt like, and I got the feeling of, this person was just feeding their ego because their two friends was there. Their friends wasn't necessarily stopping them, or her friends wasn't stopping her, because I can't necessarily say why, but hold on one second. They wasn't necessarily stopping her, but I'm sure that they was just sitting there and observing her. So it's like when she was doing the finger pointing and, doing all this, pulling up her halter top and telling me, I'll knock you out. And the first thing I was thinking to myself, and some of you have to remind yourself, and this is what Spirit wants you to know. Spirit wants you to know that some of you guys, and take this message only if it resonates. If you know that you've been told that you are divinely protected, this message is for you. Not saying that we're not all protected, but in some sort of way, when we're on a certain, where we at a certain stage in our healing journey, that God reveals to us, okay, you're protected. So you don't have to worry about certain things right now, that God is basically fighting your battle. So this is what this is. This is when you take your hand off the steering wheel and you let go and you let God fight your battles for you. This is what I'm talking about. Not the people who need to stand up for themselves, not the people who are being asked to, don't let people cross your boundaries. I'm talking to those people who know that they are at this stage in a healing process where God has basically told you, take the hands off the wheel and basically humble yourself. So basically the humbleness is coming in there because this individual basically obviously has some sort of hurt, some unhealed trauma, whether it's from past lives or whether it is from her childhood, or even whether it's just from her dealing with, situations of relationships, of being rejected. That most likely probably stems from her childhood. So I say all that to say, this is the reason why God is asking us to humble ourselves, because sometimes, and we could, thank you, Spirit, we can all relate to this too, because once upon a time, I may not have said that I'm gonna knock somebody out, but there may have been a time where, I would tell somebody off very quickly, and, let them be known what it is. But, that's not where I am at. And as we keep, evolving on this journey, we start to become more and more in letting go of that old person. We're no longer that person anymore. We're still here, but we have a different mindset. We have a different perspective. So I say all that to say that basically it's almost like, well, thank you, Spirit. I'm hearing that you're going to have to forgive people, and you're forgiving them because, again, just imagine them. Okay, so if you have to look at it from like this, Spirit is just telling me to tell you, if you have to look at it from like this, look at it from a perspective of, if you deal with this situation or if you encounter this situation, just look at it from a situation of, this is an individual that is hurt. So what does hurt people do? Hurt people try to hurt other people. So if you try to look at it from that perspective, rather than looking at it from a perspective of, oh, she embarrassing me, or, oh, she telling me off, or, oh, she's sitting here disrespecting me. But if you try to look at it from a perspective of, you know what, this is just a hurt individual, and obviously obviously somebody must have spoken to her that same type of way. Maybe she was dealing with that same type of energy from her childhood. I mean, we don't have to sit there and speculate what it is, but if you can just basically put yourself in their shoes and just basically say, oh, you know what, once upon a time, I was hurt like that, and maybe I may have responded like that, not exactly like that, but I can kind of understand why she's, when I was in my hurt self, I responded that way. Maybe not exactly like her, but in a sense. So if you can just try putting yourself in other people's shoes, that's what God wants us to basically, I'm hearing, thank you, Spirit. That's what God basically wants us to do, for us humbling ourselves with, because we have to remind ourselves of, once upon a time, we wasn't always where we're at, including myself. Okay, so that was that one. And then for this last one, this was a song that came through, right? This was the intuitive message of a song. So with this one, he just kept playing hot stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, is that some sort of rock band from back in the day? I was trying to remember. I was thinking like, I kept just thinking, but I forgot. And when I had to, and I was asking my daughter, I said, you remember that song that go blah, 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 blah? Because when we was walking, I don't normally, sometimes I don't take my, anyway, let me not say that, but let me just say this. So I was asking her if she familiar with the song or whatever. She's like, no, don't sound familiar. I was saying it was back in the days, but not that she knows, because she didn't grow up with me or whatever, but it was a song that came out pretty much in the 80s. But anyway, so when I thought about it, I got home and I Googled it, because it kept playing in my head as I was waking up out of my sleep. So, I mean, when these messages come through, they basically coming through at different times. I can get up, write it down, and go back to sleep, and I receive another message. I got to wake up and write that one down. So this one kept playing in the form of a song. And I was like, okay. And Spirit was just singing somewhat of the lyrics. And me, I don't really know the whole song, but I catch the humming part of it, the I know how to hum it or whatever. Sometimes I don't even remember the artist who sings it, but basically I'll go, I'll fill in the words with other words just to kind of get a person to understand what it is that I'm trying to sing, right? I don't necessarily be on point, but I give kudos to my late brother-in-law who has passed over, because I know back in the day when I would sit up there and be trying to figure out what a song was, I was like, oh my God, you remember that song that go like, blah, 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 blah. And then I would be making up words, but he knew what I was talking about. So see, that was just my way of, communicating. But again, sometimes I don't really necessarily know, but anyway. So to say all that to say, may his soul rest in peace. To say all that to say, basically I had to Google up what these words were saying. And let me tell you what these words are saying, because this is for a specific group of people. Okay, and then I realized, I was like, oh shoot, it was Diane Summers, right? And it's the song Hot Stuff, right? So it's saying, the lyrics was, looking for a lover who needs another, don't want another night on my own, want to share my love with a warm-blooded lover, want to bring a wild man back home. Okay, so that message just kept playing very loudly, and I told you guys over the weekend, for those people who did watch that little clip while I was painting that, the song that came through there was Weekend Girl, right? She don't have time on the weekends, but I mean, was it? Yeah, she's a weekend girl. She don't have time on the weekdays, but anyway, something about working it out. But nevertheless, some people are in this energy of they are sick and tired of being sick and tired of they tired of being alone. Okay, so for those people who that message is for, and I'm hearing Spirit say too, for those people who have been in relationships, hear me, because I'm not encouraging any of this. But those people who have been in relationships, and let's just say you're getting a little antsy, you feel like you hitting that midlife crisis stage, and you feel like you're looking for something new and wanting something new, all I'm going to tell you is go back and watch that video where it was, I think I said relationships. I think that was the topic. Or God said when you get out of one relationship, don't go jumping in another one. So just be mindful of that. You may want to watch that video. But this message is also too for those people who are, let's just say, those people who have been, sitting around trying to play the playing field, thinking that they had it going on, thinking that, how can I say it? Thinking that they had it going on, and realized that the things that they were chasing was falling like right through their hands. So in other words, everything they was trying to chase, it didn't last very long. So now it's to the point of wanting something real, wanting something authentic, and tired of playing. So it's almost like wanting the real thing, wanting true love, in other words. So, but anywho, that message, only take it how it resonates, please. That message is not for everybody. You know where you're at on your ascension process. So if you know that you're tired of playing the games and tired of playing the field, then that message is for you, at least if you've been on this healing path for a while anyway. So anyway, but let me go ahead and end that part there. But let me pull these cards real quick. And I just use these cards basically, so if there's any extra messages that Spirit wants to give in regards to the message, in regards to the message, they basically come out in the cards. Come on, Spirit Light, what message do you have for the collective? So no, I'm not a tarot reader. I just basically use the card as basically a reaffirmation of the information that I'm sharing. Reaffirmation, take it how it resonates. Come on, Spirit Light, what message do you have for the collective? What do you want them to know? What message do you have for the collective? What do you want them to know? What message is there? Light and pure condition love on me. Pure light and pure condition love on me. Oh, I put this one back in. My hands were a little too small. What message do you have, Spirit? The path. Is there any other messages?